Hee Haw was supposed to just be a summer replacement series for the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in 1969. No one believed it had staying power with its country music and barnyard humor. But Hee Haw turned out to be weekly must-see TV in households across America for decades, with an astonishing 585 one-hour episodes. It's one of just a handful of TV programs that have deeply influenced American culture with skits and songs like the Kornfield, Pickin' and Grinnin', Pff, You Was Gone, and Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me, embedded into the fabric of Americana past. Ironically, the creators of this show, set in the South, were from Canada and had never actually been to the South. But when John Aylesworth and Frank Papillon saw the success and ratings of the Beverly Hillbillies and Laugh-In, the writing pair tried their hand by combining elements from both shows. The result was a country comedy sketch series that they named Hee Haw. Hee Haw premiered on CBS in 1969 and was a massive ratings hit for 2 years. Despite this success, though, CBS wanted to distance itself from the rural image their popular country shows gave them, and decided to do a rural plunge. They canceled Hee Haw along with Beverly Hillbillies and Mayberry RFD in 1971. But the creators knew they had a smash hit on their hands and quickly found a new home for Hee Haw on syndication. And they were right. The show aired until 1997. The show, set in Kornfield, Kounty, was hosted by Roy Clark and Buck Owen. Clark was a natural choice because of his likability factor. He was a superb musician, playing many instruments, and he was a comedic genius. Owen, a classic country tenor, was a hitmaker, bringing along his successful band, the Buckaroos. Together, the two had instant on-camera chemistry. One of the most popular segments of the show was Clark and Owen swapping jokes during Pickin' and Grinnin'. By the 1970s, this pair was among the best entertainers in the country, each, respectively, winning a slew of awards over their careers for their hosting and musical chops. Other castmates included Minnie Pearl and Grandpa Jones from the Grand Ole Opry. Archie Campbell also was on the show. Joining them was Junior Samples, the bumbling joke teller, David Stringbean Aikman, and last but not least, the Hager twins. One beloved sketch was Gloom, Despair, where four of the male actors, usually Clark, Archie Campbell, Grandpa Jones, and Gordy Tapp, would take turns sharing their trials and tribulations, with the famous chorus of Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me. Another favorite segment featured Archie Campbell, complete with a straw hat, singing about a love that went terribly wrong. A guest or other castmate would then join in with the chorus, "Where, oh where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and thought I'd found true love. You met another and pff, you were gone." Sometimes the raspberry that came along with the pff sprayed the singers, leaving everyone in giggles. Because the show featured country stars with busy schedules, Hee Haw only taped twice a year. They'd gather in Nashville for a week-long power session, setting up the set for Lulu's Truck Stop, or Haystack, or The Joke Fence, and tape all the segments for it in succession. The magic of this comedy show was in the editing. There was a spontaneity of it all. There was little to no rehearsal, actors read lines from cue cards, and mistakes added to the humor. These segments were all set to a laugh track. The songs, however, were taped in front of a studio audience. Country stars would gather in the wings on standby and await their turn for their stage appearance. Speaking of country stars, Hee Haw was a who's who in country music in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Merle Haggard, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, Waylon Jennings, Charlie Rich, Ronnie Millsap, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Brenda Lee, and Boxcar Willie were all featured guests. Even young Garth Brooks, Vince Gill, and Randy Travis made some of their first TV appearances on Hee Haw. Hee Haw tried to multiply its success with a spin-off show in 1978 called Hee Haw Honeys. The show featured a family who owned a nightclub, featuring some of the female regulars from Hee Haw, like Misty Rowe and Lulu Roman. While the show only lasted one season, it was the starting point for Kathy Lee Johnson, who the world would come to know as Kathy Lee Gifford. While the humor on Hee Haw usually induced eye rolls, it occasionally raised a few eyebrows, but they maintained their family-friendly image by closing out the show each week with a gospel song, sung by the Hee Haw Gospel Quartet of Owens, Clark, Grandpa Jones, and Tennessee Ernie Ford. Hee Haw takes us back in time to a simpler way, with silly jokes and classic country music. It's been called the little show that could, running for 25 straight seasons, with a Hail Mary season a few years later on TNT. Reruns still appear on cable today, with rumored reboots sparking up every so often. Thanks for watching Memory Mountain. If you enjoyed this video, please click to subscribe to our channel and hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to tap the notification bell so you'll be one of the first to know when we post our next story looking back over the landscape of Americana.